Welcome back to Astro Playground. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk about what I'd like to talk about is this little bundle of joy I got here that's decided to come in and say hello. This is Rocky, by the way. He's my faithful companion. But I wanted to take a couple minutes to discuss the latest addition to our rig, and that being the mount. Now, I've said this many times, and it's something that I really believe in, that if your base, your mount, your foundation is not rock solid, it doesn't matter how good your optics are. I've said this on numerous occasions that it's just like in a home. If your foundation isn't solid, if it's not anchored correctly, if the concrete doesn't have the right J-bolts attached to the mud sill, which then supports the walls and all that, if the foundation itself, the slabs, the footers, if that isn't rock solid, if it isn't sound, it doesn't matter what color the drapes are. It doesn't matter the quality of the windows. It doesn't matter whether you've got cedar shake or polyvinyl, siding. It makes no difference. It doesn't matter what color the carpets are, how much you spend on your furniture. If the foundation is shoddy, the house isn't going to be stable, and you risk it coming down. So, that being said, in astrophotography, the base, if you will, absolutely is the tripod and the mount. Now, on our last video, we talked about the base and the foundation for that being, in this case, the JMI wheelie bar and the Losmandy heavy-duty tripod. That is, in my opinion, one of the finest support structures available. There's not a whole heck of a lot out there right now that, in my opinion, can beat that. I'm not saying that there isn't stuff that isn't as good. You're going to be hard-pressed to find something better. So, especially at that price point. Granted, you can spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars on, mounts. Not mounts, tripods, tri-piers, things like that. There are units out there that are $3,000–$4,000 for a tripod, and that option is available. I don't think for the money you can beat what Losmandy has built. That being said, the next logical step then is to the mount. The mount itself is where all of your imagery is going to either shine or suck. If your mount is really good, and that you don't have to spend stupid amounts of money, to get a good mount. But if you're trying to go on the cheap, the mount is probably the last thing you want to do that with. It is the main structure for your entire optical rig. It determines the quality of your guiding. It determines the quality of your imagery. As I said, it doesn't matter how good your optics are. If the mount isn't solid, if the mount isn't a quality mount, your guiding is going to suffer, your imagery is going to suffer, and it's going to be a bad experience. So, as I've said in other correspondence with people and this and that, my advice is to spend as much money as you can afford without winding yourself up in divorce court. I say that, of course, tongue-in-cheek. But, don't go cheap on the mount. Get the best mount that you can budget for. Put your money there. Trust me, you'll be much happier. So, with that, what I want to do is take a couple minutes and talk about the mount that we have. This mount is the Rainbow Astro RST-300. It is a harmonic drive mount, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that means as far as the construction of the mount. Now, granted, up until probably, I would say 6 months ago, I had never heard of harmonic drive mounts. Maybe in passing, but I didn't pay any attention to them. They are a primary feature in most high-end robotics. You see them in industry, you see them in medical robots, you see them in industrial robots. Anywhere where there is precision and also a minimum of backlash required, high precision, you see harmonic drives. This particular company is dealing with a harmonic drive for the Astro world. As the way I look at it, anyway, it's kind of a peripheral for them. It's a nice add-on for them. Their big industry is in industrial robotics. Rainbow they have a phenomenal product, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I have actually I contracted with Farpoint Astro to build a case for the harmonic drive. The drive, the harmonic mount, excuse me, it came with a case, a soft case. I wanted something a little more than that, and so JMI, through Farpoint, they built a custom case for me, laser cut everything out, and I'm going to show that to you. Okay, I wanted to just give you a quick overview of what we have here, specifically the mount. I've got some pictures that I'm going to be showing you. What you see here in this mount and what you will see in the rest of the video about the mount is the finished product. It's been powder coated, anodized, but what is difficult to tell from the finished product is the reality that everything you see here, all the pieces are of billeted aluminum. Each piece is of a solid block, is milled out of a solid block of aluminum. The quality on the build on this mount is, quite frankly, it's non-Pirel. There is no substandard features on this mount at all. It's all top-notch, top-flight engineering and manufacturing. Right down to the stainless steel bar, counterweight shaft, and everything that you see. I've got some video that I'm going to be showing you on the harmonic drive. Also the pictures, the breakdown of the different pieces. These pictures are going to showcase the beauty of the design and allow you to see the workings of the mount from its individual component pieces. This will, and it should, eloquently demonstrate the quality of what you're getting with a mount like this. So we'll go ahead and run the video to explain how the harmonic drive actually works, why it is coveted and demonstrates a level of precision that is probably, at this point in manufacturing, is probably very difficult, if not impossible, to beat. As far as the way the gears work with each other, there's practically no backlash with this unit at all. That is a huge benefit, especially when it comes to tracking, guiding with this mount. That should prove to be an excellent feature, as the computer and the software that is running the sequence for the image capture, the guiding, the PhD2 guiding, is sending pulses to the mount as it's correcting in right ascension and declination. There is not going to be a problem with gear slop and backlash. And if you don't know what backlash is, when gears mesh together, excuse me, when gears mesh together in a typical worm gear and round gear combination in most mounts, there is a significant amount of space between the gears. The gears don't fit tightly together, because then you wind up with another problem called binding, where the gears are binding and that it's working too hard, and you can get chatter where the motor will actually chatter, you know, and that would completely screw up your guiding altogether. But backlash is where the gears slop as it's moving from one direction to another, going backwards. That the gears fall over onto one another, and that the amount of space between the gears when that happens is that slop. Now, there are services that you can get to hyper-tune your mounts and such, but things mechanically like that, they don't stay like that. So unless you know how to adjust the backlash or adjust for and hyper-tune your own mount, this is going to present to be a problem with some regularity. With a drive like this, there is practically zero maintenance, and the backlash issue is moot. It is non-existent. So in taking a look at some of the images, take a look at the video, and judge for yourself the quality of the mount. And we'll be back in just a minute.
The highly precise and backlash-free gears are the central element of the harmonic drive principle used in our gearboxes and servo actuators. Harmonic drive component sets consist of only 3 precision components: wave generator, flex spline, and circular spline. The wave generator is the driven element of the transmission. The ellipse-shaped form of the wave generator is fitted with a specially designed ball bearing. The flex spline is a high-strength, torsionally stiff yet flexible component with external teeth, which reliably transmits high loads. The circular spline is designed as a rigid ring with internal teeth. The circular spline has 2 teeth more than that of flex spline. By inserting the wave generator into the flex spline assumes the elliptical shape of the wave generator. The rotating wave generator causes the flex spline to radially deform. The assembled gear has 2 diametrically opposed tooth engagement areas around the major axis of the ellipse. The rotation of the wave generator causes the meshing of flex spline with the circular spline to move around circumference. Since the flex spline has 2 teeth less than the circular spline, rotating the wave generator leads to a relative movement between the flex spline and the circular spline. Harmonic drive gears and servo actuators are used wherever zero backlash, extraordinary precision and high reliability are required, in all areas where drive technology is required. Harmonic Drive, your partner for drive technology.
Okay, we're going to take now a couple minutes and just show you the installation of the mount, some of its basic functions, initial setup. The mount itself had to have a custom pier plate made for it, and big shout out to Dan's Custom Pier Plates. He did a phenomenal job in building this. It fits this Losmandy MAL perfectly. It is meant for this unit. Another reason, if you're going this route, to go with the Losmandy is that Dan is set up to do plates specifically for this this mount, and also the MA mount, which I'll show you right here. This is the smaller version of the MAL. This is the MA, and as you can see, it literally will fit down inside of it. Smaller version of this. I wanted the MAL just simply because it's much larger. There are no slotted holes here in this one. This one is, they're drilled straight through. There's no way that can slip out, and there's 6 of them versus 3. This is just meant for a smaller setup. The mount with its custom pier plate fits in here like a glove. So we're going to show that to you right now. Take this out of here. And for what this mount is amazingly light. So we'll go ahead and set it in place very carefully. And it fits, as I said, like a glove. The bolts that are used for this are a stainless steel. I believe these are a 3/8/16. Comes with 6 of them and utilizes a 7/16 driver in here. So they're 3/8/16 non-metric, and they just literally thread right into that setup. It's always a good idea to get everything in and threaded before you tighten things down. It's just good practice. Just get it to where it needs to be. With these 6 bolts, this mount is going nowhere. The mount itself is mounted to the bottom of this plate with 4 bolts that go up inside. Apologize for my back being to you. Once we have all of the bolts in place, then we'll just go ahead and tighten them down. Now I'm old school, so I believe in patterning my bolts. I don't go in a full circle each bolt. I go around and I'll get every other one, and that it's just a pattern I've developed over the years. And it's probably me just being overly fastidious. But that should do it. Now the mount is installed, nice and solid. it will require a little getting used to in a couple of features. First of all, one of the things that you notice right off the bat with this mount is there are no clutches. There's no clutch releases. That takes a little getting used to if you're not used to it. And I actually do not have the mount locked in place, so it will go from 90 to 0 all the way down. And in order to lock that in place, comes with a T-handle Allen key, and over here there is a slot with an Allen bolt inside. You simply adjust the Allen key, the Allen bolt that is inside the mount, to lock your declination in. So wherever your particular declination is, mine sits at about 43 degrees, which is approximately right there. And what they tell you in the manual is to tighten this up just about as tight as you can get it. You cannot strip it. So that will lock that in place as far as it tilting. Now, you can, when you move these the deck locks, you can move this in and out now with this adjuster knob at the back, and that will give you your fine adjustment. Fortunately, I have a small spot here on the tripod to store my Allen key. And that, in essence, will give you the rough setup for your mount. These knobs here are critical in getting the alignment east to west. And I've done polar alignment on other mounts before. This particular mount here, it has such a smooth and very fine thread on these azimuth bolts that it is like butter. It's smooth as butter. Very easy to manipulate. Once you get used to how the azimuth works, it is relatively easy to get your polar alignment, especially when you incorporate the proper software and so on and so forth. However, that's for another video. One of the other features that I opted for with this mount, other than Dan's Pier Plate, was the ADM dovetail saddle. Excuse me, the ADM dovetail saddle. I also opted for the larger knobs. They're extra large hand knobs. I wanted that because, for one thing, I have very large hands, but I also wanted the extra torque that these could give me. I'm setting roughly 80 pounds of scope and equipment up on this, and I didn't want to screw around with the tension on these, so I wanted to get the extra large knobs, and they come in that nice orange, which is very similar to what the color that is on the scope, the Celestron orange, which is kind of a nice little extra feature. Now, as far as the powering of this, there are several ways to power it. It's all 12 volt. You can use this setup, which is direct AC to 12 volt DC with the inverter, straight power, 110 power to 12 volt. That's an option. You can also go with straight power from a cigarette lighter adapter, which is what we're going to do here. But there's also the adapter that you can get from Primaluce, excuse me, which will tie directly from the Eagle, powering through the Eagle to the mount. That's my chosen form of powering. But for this example, we're just going to use the cigarette lighter to power this up. The power adapter is kind of universal, the plug, if you will. So we'll take that, plug that in there, take this and plug it in here to our battery, and power things on. And then we'll go ahead and hook up our hand unit. The software that runs this system from South Korea is called the Hubo. It's and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me. But it's pronounced, at least I see that as Hubo, H-U-B-O, H-U-B-O-I, Hubo-I. That's their handset. That is also the ASCOM drivers within the software that I run through the Eagle. So we'll just plug that in there, and we'll go ahead and power the mount on. And it's ready to go. So the mount itself is it's relatively quiet. Under load, it's got a little bit more sound to it, but just sitting here, it's very quiet. Matter of fact, I don't even know if you can hear that, but it is incredibly quiet. It is incredibly quiet. The right ascension, the RA, is very quiet. The deck is a little noisier, but not much. It's very, very quiet. I'm not sure if you can how well you can hear that. You got the mic sitting right next to it. It's very, very quiet. One of the things with this setup is that it is touted as a weightless mount. What that basically means is that up to 66 pounds of telescope payload, no weights are needed. Now, if that doesn't mean anything to you, you probably haven't been in this industry for very long. Normally, scopes run with counterweights. To have a system that can run weightless, it's up to 66 pounds, that's pretty astounding. My rig is up just shy or right at 80 pounds. So I have opted for the weights that come that you can get extra for this. Now that's one of the things that with this mount, unlike other mounts come with the shaft, the weight shaft. This mount did not. All right, I had to order this mount, this shaft, separate, and it was, I believe, an extra $90. This mount, this shaft is, it comes in at just around 6 pounds, but it does thread up into here quite nicely. What's interesting about this weight shaft is that it is much shorter than a lot of other weight shafts. It is only about 12 to 13 inches, and I'll grab a tape measure, to the toe buster. It is actually just shy of 12 inches. It is 11 3/4 inches long. That is relatively short for a mount, for a weight shaft, counterweight shaft. But you don't really need it to be very long. The toe buster is also nice milled aluminum, very well made, and same thread, same bolt. The counterweights that I have opted to use here are the ADM stainless steel 15-pound counterweights, and I put those on there, and that counterbalances and takes up any problem that we might have with the extra payload with the scope. But in comparison, it does not need a lot of counterweight. Very little counterweight. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that I spoke to that is the designer, and forgive me for not, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. He's a Korean gentleman from South Korea. And in his correspondence with me through email, he has reassured me that even at that weight, with that scope, at that 80-pound weight, that I only need one 15-pound weight at the bottom of this counterweight shaft at the toe buster. That's phenomenal to me. That is phenomenal to me. I actually have three 15-pound weights, so I've opted to run more than one. I'm not sure exactly how many I'm going to run regularly. It's going to be kind of a trial and error on that, see where the tracking is and so on and so forth. However, it is available. I'm going to try it with the 15-pound weight and see how it works. So the polar alignment on this scope, on this mount, is relatively easy. If you're not running a system like Sharp Cap, or, you don't have that, you can also consider using the Polemaster. And what's interesting about that is that built into the mount, right here at the very front of the mount, is a ring that accepts the mount for the Polemaster. And in my accessory kit, there is a ring that will fit on this that actually bolts to the Polemaster. So it has a coupling ring that sits on this, and it is a thumb screw that tightens down. So you can fit a Polemaster right there, and you're good to go. So if you've already got a Polemaster, something like that, it's an easy fit. I prefer the Sharp Cap software. I've actually never used the Polemaster. I have nothing against it. As a matter of fact, I understand it's a fabulous system. And if you have it, stay with it. If you don't have it, look into other options as well. You may find that the Sharp Cap method works better for you. You may find that the Polemaster method works better for you. I'm not going to try to steer you either way. Both are excellent options. Once you get this up and set like this, what's also interesting is that you don't run into the risk of the scope falling over without your weights. Now, I wouldn't run the scope, the full scope, full 80 pounds, on here without the weights. But putting it on here without the weights isn't a problem. It's not going to fall over on me because there's no clutches. It actually has a brake in it so that it cannot fall over. It cannot fall over. Once the knobs are locked down and it's in place, it's tight. This will not move an inch. Even with these loose, it will not rotate. It will not move, which is really nice. Now the RA will move, and I don't know if you can see that, but I am actually moving it. All right, it will move. So that's with the power off. Right? If the power is on, there's a braking system in there, and it will not move. So if you've got the mount powered, you can take that scope and put it up on here with no weights and no fear of it falling. That's, again, pretty impressive. So I'm not sure what else I can cover in this. There is a significant amount of information on their website. There is a full PDF download for both the mount and the hand controller. If you're interested in the finer details of that, the connection with this is very simple. It's just a regular USB Type B here, which is, for most people, they would consider it to be like a printer cable. Okay, USB printer cable. It's a USB Type B to USB Type C out to the Eagle. So, in essence, we don't have a hand controller. The hand controller is used very little. I would use it possibly for polar aligning, and that's it. All right. Once I get it polar aligned, to disconnect the hand controller, wrap it up, put it back in the case, and then I connect my power and my USB to the Eagle, and we're good to go. And I have all of the controls for the mount, the manual controls for the mount in my different software packages, and also in the ASCOM drivers that come with the Hobie I. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but the Hobie I ASCOM drivers for this mount has a window there where there are different settings in this net, but there's also the ability to move the mount from a tablet, a phone, something like that. Now, and the other thing that's interesting about this, if you are not using this with a Windows setup, if you're not using this with a Windows computer, and you want to run it autonomously through like a phone or a tablet, this system is completely utilized. It completely utilizes Sky Safari Pro, which is a Mac software. It's meant for iPhones, iPads, right? And it has scope controls in there. There's a whole myriad, there's a whole software suite in there for Sky Safari Pro. It will completely control the mount. It will tie into the mount's GPS. The mount does have its own onboard GPS and many other features. And that's one of the things that you want to make sure that you do initially when you are setting this mount up, is you want to make doubly sure that you set the time correctly. And this is only through trial and error on my part, okay? You want to make sure you set the time correctly. You want to make sure that you set your time zone correctly, okay? But the other thing is that the home position on this is not what you would normally expect, okay? The home position on this is weight down, scope parallel with the ground. And I believe I have a picture. If I do, I'll put it up. I'll put it up right here. But I believe I have a picture. So it's weight down, scope to the ground. And then when you open up your observatory software, right? Or you open up Sequence Generator Pro, Nina, SharpCap, whatever, right? Your home position is going to be with the scope laying pointed east-west, okay? Not pointed north-south, but pointed east-west. Weights down. It took me a while to figure that one out. That's kind of an unusual position, all right? It's not the usual position. At least I haven't found that to be true. Now, excuse me, if I'm speaking out of school and somebody else has out there some additional information about this that I am unaware of, please leave it in the notes below and I will respond. But in order to get the scope to align correctly, it has to be in that position to start with, okay? When you open up the ASCOM drivers, it'll give you, where you can park the mount in any position, any direction you want. But the home position, the park and the home position are two different things, okay? The park position can be manually entered, and you can park it in any position you want. The home position, on the other hand, is locked in. And so you hit that home button, and the scope will go dead, weights down, and it'll lay the scope right straight down. That's where you want to start before you do anything else. So you get it into that position, you're polar aligned, you're in that position, and then you enter in your target as to where you want, you were going to shoot M51, right? Which is, at 11 o'clock, is pretty high in the sky. North, right? I believe it is. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But I believe that it's high in the sky, north, 60 degrees or above, and going north, and the Whirlpool Galaxy. When you're in that position, you go to M51, and it will start there and slew to it. And then, you can do your plate solving and do all that other stuff, and you're good to go. But that little tidbit eluded me for a couple of weeks, and I couldn't figure out what the heck I was doing wrong. It was driving me crazy, because I put the scope in the position that I thought was home, which was pointing north, pointing up, north, you know, into the sky. And I went to slew to a target, and the damn thing slewed right down through the earth. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? There's something screwy. Well, thanks to my astronomy community and others, you know, other great minds that were in here, we took the time to figure out what was actually going wrong with the setup. And as it turned out, the home position and the park position are two different things. So we had to take some time to you know, learn that. It drove me crazy trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. And usually in situations like that, it's usually something simple. It's usually something stupid that you've missed. You know, and not that any one person is stupid, but it's just a silly mistake. It's just a silly, you know, oversight. It's usually something simple. That being the point. And that's exactly what it was. It was something simple. So once we did figure that out, it slewed correctly, and we were good to go. So the interesting thing about this mount is that it has several features that are unique to it. It doesn't have clutches. It has internal brakes. The mount itself is weightless, as I said before. It is ultra light in comparison to its payload capacity. The thing weighs, I mean, it's 18 kilograms. You know, it weighs practically nothing. It's very, very light, easily manipulated, easily transported, no problem at all. The thing with the mount that I would encourage you to do is to first of all realize that there is a shocking lack of information on the internet about these mounts. A shocking lack of information. Very, very little about these mounts. Most of what you get is from the manufacturer themselves, and they're in South Korea. And there's a couple of videos of people that have an RST-300. No, there's one that I've seen. One guy has an RST-300, right? The other ones have the 135s or the 150s. And there's not a lot. There's a couple of guys across the whole internet. That's it. So I want to add my voice to that, and you know, and talk about the beauty that is this particular design. The harmonic drive is truly a wonder of engineering, design, and function. Beauty in its design, absolutely beautiful in its design, and simple, elegant. I really am very impressed with this mount. They are not a cheap option. By any sense of the imagination, are they a cheap option? However, they are, if you have the budget for them, they are, in my opinion, a very viable choice as far as you know, a top-notch precision mount is concerned. So, if this kind of content is interesting to you, I would encourage you to support us. Right up on our YouTube channel, right up here in this upper corner up here, on the YouTube channel, there's a couple of links that will take you to our Amazon store, and you can get your very own totally tubular shirt designed by my wife. We have a couple of other designs up there as well, kind of fun designs. All of the proceeds from the sale of those shirts go to support us here at Astro Playground, and we appreciate all of that. If you like these videos, I would encourage you to subscribe. Learn as much as you can, and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell to alert yourself when we have a new video coming forward. I apologize, this video is much longer than I excuse me, than I thought it was going to be. However, there's a tremendous amount to talk about with this particular telescope mount, and I've just barely scratched the surface of it. So I hope I've given you enough information to do your own research into it. If you have any questions, I would encourage you to watch this video again. I appreciate you folks watching it all the way through. Watching our videos all the way through really helps us out a lot. We appreciate that. Send me some notification. Send me a note. You know, comments are always welcome. Even if you want to yell at me for being stupid, you know, I don't mind that at all. You know, if you see something I'm doing that's goofy and you've got a better way to do it, share it with me. You know, you want to yell and scream at me for being, you know, an idiot? Please do. You know, we welcome all those comments. So, until we have an opportunity to get out and enjoy some more clear skies, which we haven't in the last, oh my gosh, almost 2 weeks now. We haven't had any clear skies, and most of the time it's been raining. So it's just been, the weather's been miserable. So it's a good time to talk about the build, and that's what we're doing. If you like, as I said, subscribe to us. We'd love to have our new subscribers. We welcome all of our new subscribers. And we're looking forward to our next video. I don't know if we're going to actually have another video on this mount. We may. It may be in conjunction with the other aspects of the telescope as it's sitting up here. However, until we meet again, I would encourage you to keep looking up. You know, when you get those clear skies, go outside and look up. You know, look at that beautiful creation that has been given to us, and the ability to discover what is up there is also a gift to us. We live in a part of the galactic habitable zone that is pristine for observation and for discovery. Take advantage of it. Get outside, look up, and keep the wonder and the joy of the heavens that is before you. Get out to those dark sky sites and educate your children, you know, as to the splendor of our universe and our galaxy. And until we meet again, I would wish you all good health as you keep looking up, clear skies as you keep being inspired. And until we meet again from Astro Playground, bye for now.